What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com, and I am back with my top 5 bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. No UFC this weekend, but we have the return of the Professional Fighters League. A new season is back on ESPN and ESPN Plus over in the US, the zone here in Ireland and around the world. And also we have Bellator, which I'll be flying to Canada to watch on Saturday, as I do every week invariably. But a very, very good PFL card. A kind of an under the radar good Bellator card, kind of. It's all right, but we'll get into them anyway. And I have 5 interesting bets from them. Do you know what's even more interesting about these bets is I actually had these bets picked out maybe just over 24 hours ago, and I was okay. Here are my 5 bets. I'll do my record and then wait for maybe a few props to come out and I look at it. And I don't think I've ever done, and I usually do that every week, kind of. I don't think I've ever had a week before where the prices have changed so much in the space of 24 hours. Maybe it'll go from, like plus 115 maybe to even money, or to maybe plus, 155 or something like that. It moves a little up. But these ones, a lot of these bets change in a big way. I'll give you just one example, like Will Fleury. I looked at it yesterday and he was plus 375, the smallest price on the books that I could see for him. I think he was around plus 390 and some other places. Plus 375 was the main price for him. Down to plus 250 today when I look at it. I mean, is that my own bets? We'll get into that in a second, but a lot of those prices change. So, and as well, I think I meant to say last week, but I'll say it this week. The prices that are shown here are the updated prices. My guy John does a great job of getting the most up-to-date prices. So if I tell you a price and the price is on screen, it's a little bit different. The price on screen is the right one. That's the up-to-date one. John gets them obviously after me when he's doing the editing and all like that. So check those prices on screen throughout this whole video and future videos as well for the most up-to-date prices. Before we get to next week, let's recap last week. And you know what? We had a pretty good week last week. 3 out of the 4 bets hit. Our flyer didn't even happen because the Manel Cape fight obviously fell out, which was very, very unfortunate. My double of Paul and Decheva, they dominated in PFL Europe. Great showing from them there. I gave you minus 350 last week. It was probably closer to minus 450 by the time those fights started. So, not a big money bet or anything like that. But I wanted to talk about those fights and get them in there. And it was kind of the only way I could do that. But that was good anyway. Holly Holm at around, I gave it to you a minus 225 last week. I think she went off at around minus 200 or close to that. So a good win there. Andrea Lee, how close was that? A plus 231. Very, very close fight. I thought the right person won. Even though I had betting it, I had given everyone the bet. Very unfortunate. And then Corey Sandhagen at minus 157. Won pretty easily, to be honest. And I know a lot of people were heavy on that and were probably right to be. So 3 out of 4 from last week. That is absolutely fantastic, and let's keep that going. Let's keep that winning feeling and that winning streak going. Overall, we are 19 out of 37, so we are gone above the 50% again, which is always fantastic to do. As I said, that's my kind of aim. My aim is for 50% throughout the year. And on the flyers, my aim is a lot lower than 50% on the flyers because that's what they are. But we're still 4 out of 10 on the flyers after hitting a few big ones. And you know what? I love my flyer this week. I absolutely love my flyer. So stay tuned towards the end of the episode for that beautiful flyer. And you know what? Last week, my bets weren't the biggest prices, and I've kind of gone the opposite way this week. I've only one minus money bet this week, and that's my third bet, but I'm going to start at the start. I normally start at the end, but I'll start at the start there. And my first bet is, to me, it's a massively interesting fight, and I think it's probably going under the radar, and it's the Zingano versus Leah McCourt fight, which, Bellator is saying, I'm not sure if it should or not, but Bellator is saying that it will decide the next person to fight. Chris Cyborg, I have to give a shout out to Sinead Cavan. I feel like she's been a little hard but done by here. She beat Leah McCourt. She got injured. She won her last fight in impressive fashion. She should be right up there as well. I think it should be a toss of a coin, especially if Leah wins here. But however, that's what they're calling this. And, Zingano and Leah, after coming back winning a fight, and if she wins this fight as well, beating Zingano, she absolutely deserves it as well, as does Zingano for her career and winning this fight. I can't complain too much about it, but I just wanted to mention that. But
First bet of the week anyway, Zingano versus McCourt. My bet here is that this does not go to a decision. So my bet is that this fight gets finished by either Zingano or McCourt, either one of them, and that is a surprising plus 250. A surprising price there for me, and I really, really, really like that price. That price and prize. The reason I'll give you for that price is this. And you know what? I was looking at, I could have picked 2 flyers from this. I have a feeling this fight is going to end by submission. I really do. Like Zingano is plus 750 to get a submission. Leah McCourt is plus 1,000 to get a submission. And the reason I say that, right, is throughout the years, you know, Kat Zingano has been a fighter who, I suppose, in fighting in all different realms. We've seen her fight, you know, standing up with people like Amanda Nunes. We've seen her on the ground. She's 5 knockouts and 4 submissions. You know, she's that sort of fighter. But recently, and I watched all her recent fights, obviously preparing for my Bellator preview and preparing for this video, she's wrestled and wrestled and wrestled and wrestled. She's wrestled everyone recently. 2 fights ago, she got an armbar. She took Sorensen down over and over and over again. She's been real wrestle heavy lately. And as someone who has, you know, I've known obviously Leah McCourt and the way she fights throughout her whole career. She started off as a judoka, and her jiu-jitsu obviously got very good, and that was kind of the first thing she was great at, and she's been kind of known, I suppose, as a ground fighter, and she's been putting her hands together since. Looked good, especially in the opening goings against Diana Silva, you know, in 3 rounds on the feet with Sinead Kavanagh, who's a former national boxing champion. So, you know, that's nothing to be sniffed at really there, but they're both good on the ground, I think. Now, will that lead to a stalemate? Who knows? But what I think it will lead to is both of them putting the other person kind of in danger. Like, I think, and I heard Chris Cyborg with, I think she was on with James Lynch talking about it, and she kind of said that she thinks Leah will try to keep it on the feet, and Kat will try to wrestle her, which is, I definitely don't agree with that from Leah's point of view. I think Leah, if she put the fight against the cage, would be trying to get Kat down and get on top of her. But I'm interested to hear that she thinks Kat is going to try to take Leah down. And like, logically, you would say Leah's bigger, stronger. You know, Leah's a genuine 145, or Kat isn't. You know, she's been a career bantamweight who's moved up because she's in Bellator, and that's the division they have there. You would think that Kat would be trying to stay off the ground against someone like that. But what if she does wrestle with her? Like, I think if she does wrestle her, she puts herself in a whole load of problems there for Leah, and it gives Leah an extra way to win the fight. But it also gives Kat the advantage if she can continually wrestle her and continually get on top. So I just said there in two sentences, it could give Leah the advantage, it could give Kat the advantage. And I really think this is like the old school, old fashioned, whoever gets on top is going to win the fight. And I think that's the way this fight's going to go. I really do. Now, it could turn into 25 minutes of kickboxing. We all know that with every fight, and especially when it's, you know, some people who are, you know, called ground fighters, not necessarily just ground fighters, but you know what I mean. I think if the fight goes to the ground, I see either Leah getting on top in the mount, landing big ground and pound, Kat turning over, getting a rear naked choke, getting an armbar or something like that, or Kat doing the exact same thing. Kat getting on top, landing a lot of strikes, possibly getting the armbar, possibly getting the TKO. And this is, as I said, I haven't gone for the just submission one. This is just the finish. This is just, and for either of them to do it, plus 250, I think that's a great price. I really do think that. And I think this is a real styles make fights type of fight. I think both of them, when it gets to the ground, will be really, really, really trying to get that massively advantageous position. And once they have it, they'll be massively trying to use it. And I think that'll lead to a finish. I really do. Like we saw recently, like Leah has power. She's big. We've seen recently, though, when she fought Jenny Harding, she got hit hard on the feet and hurt. And then ended up getting the finish herself. Like, could that happen again? One of those, or both of those two things. Like, could she get hurt on the feet against someone like Kat? I think if it stays on the feet and Kat can get her striking going, possibly. But then if that does happen, she falls to her back, or even if Kat takes her down, Leah's good off the ground. You know, she hurt Jenny Harding with an up kick and ended up triangling her. Like, there's I think there's just so many ways for this fight to finish. To give me 2 plus 250 for it to finish, I love that price. I love that price. And I said that before the prices even came up. This was, I did a long spiel about it on the Bellator preview, but also over in the Severe Man podcast as well. We were talking, I was like, I really, really think this fight is going in the advantage of someone on the ground. Someone's getting submitted. I think someone's getting submitted, but I think someone could get TKO'd in the mount or something like that. That's the way I see this fight going. And to give me plus 250 for both women, a double chance, a knockout, a submission, any of that, a DQ, any of that, just for the fight to finish inside the distance, plus 250. Love it. Love that price. That's my top bet of the week. I love that bet. Absolutely love it. Next bet I'm going for bet number 2. Not as big on this one because this is a bet that I'm giving best on price. And it is Thiago Santos versus Rob Wilkinson. And he is plus 155, just money line straight up. And the reason I'm giving this is because, and I was actually, maybe I won't say who it was, but I was talking to one of the best bettors in MMA yesterday. And he was kind of saying to me, you know, he was picking, I don't want to give his pick away because I won't give his name, but his pick was for Rob Wilkinson to win the fight. And I was kind of thinking, yeah, maybe he will. Maybe Rob Wilkinson will win the fight, but like, you know, will he win the fight? I'm not sure. And I think like if you look at this fight and you base it on their whole careers, like Thiago Santos definitely has, you know, a longer and more maybe storied career than Rob Wilkinson, but who has been better recently? You know, probably Rob Wilkinson. He's done fantastically recently, and he came in and he won the championship last year and looked absolutely great doing it. I'm very interested to see how this fight goes from the very start, because if Thiago Santos can kind of get into his rhythm, if he can start landing a few of his power shots, I think he has a real chance of landing a few of those big power shots and changing the fight, whether it's a knockout or hurting Wilkinson or something like that early. I think he's a real chance of doing that. And that's why I'm torn on this. Like, I think if this goes to a regular decision, let's put it that way, I think Rob Wilkinson will take the fight. But I just have a feeling there's, like, you're fighting a light heavyweight as well. We must remember that. And there's something that won't go to plan in this fight, I feel like. There's something that just like, something's going to happen. Something's going to kick. There's something going to happen that's going to turn this fight a little bit. And who's that for? Like, who's that most likely to be for? Now, Rob has some great wins last year. He's knocked some guys out. You know, he's looked great. Looked really good. I can't say enough about him. But I think Thiago Santos is a different kettle of fish. Now, I'll say this as well. This will either be a great price in Thiago Santos and we look back and that's the reason I'm kind of giving this, because I was saying to myself there earlier, and the PFL preview will be out by the time this comes up as well, and I was kind of humming and hawing about that as well on who I'd pick, and I think I have leaned towards Santos especially after recording that and talking it through myself, because I think that this is a price that you'll be looking back on afterwards and you're kind of thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I took that price. I can't believe I didn't take that price. And if it turns out badly, it's probably the one like, well, now I'll never take that price again. And someone like a Santos, do you get me? So that's why I'm going for it. I think Thiago Santos will win the fight for 2 reasons, right? And this is purely my speculation. The exact opposite could happen. As I said, I think he'll land those big shots, but I also think Rob Wilkinson will be a little more hesitant than he's been recently. And what has made Rob Wilkinson very good is that he has been faster and more headstrong, I suppose, than a lot of his opponents recently. He's just shown that he's a better fighter than all of them. And if he's a little bit off showing that against Thiago Santos, it's going to be very, very tough for him. So I am going for Thiago Santos in that one. The next bet I'm going for is from the PFL as well. I'm going for Chris Wade straight up minus 181 to beat Bubba Jenkins. Then let me just, while we're here, just make sure I have the 100% updated price on that one, because we all know these prices are moving around an awful lot. He is he's actually minus 175 now. He's actually minus 175. Let me just adjust that here on my notes, because that's a better price than it was even I think only an hour ago when I looked at this again. Look, doing the PFL preview, looking at this fight again. Obviously, look at the fight we've seen before, but it's hard to look at their two styles and see Chris Wade not kind of having the better of it, because the biggest issue I think for both of these guys is they've been around a long time. And I think that's one of the things with PFL, especially if you've been successful. I think being in the PFL, sticking in the PFL and doing the season maybe 3 or 4 times, it gets very, very tough, not just on the body, but I think mentally and all like that. Now, obviously they both had a setback last year and they're bouncing back, so that might have helped, but it's hard to pick this fight mentally, right? So I think, and knowing where both guys are mentally, I think you have to go with it based on kind of what's happened before, but also based on, and I think this mostly like the qualities that both guys bring in retrospect to each other, you know, and how they match up against each other. And look, we've seen it obviously once before, and Chris Wade won that fight. It was back in 2021, so not a long time ago. And I think, to me, what I think Wade has is the ability. I said it there a minute ago about Wilkinson in these past fights. He just has that ability to kind of be more confident in his strikes because he's very confident in his wrestling. It's a lot of time we don't see that with strikers because they're not confident enough in their wrestling. And you're thinking, oh, well, you've great striking, why don't you let it go? Well, they're not letting it go because they're not confident in the wrestling. Whereas, okay, Chris Wade isn't the best striker in the world. He's a good striker, but he's so confident in his wrestling that he's way more confident in his striking than a very good striker is, making his striking actually more effective than someone who's probably a lot better striking than him. You get that? I hope I explained that well. And I think against a guy like Bubba Jenkins, who tries to be a little bit similar, but I think tries to be more wrestle heavy even, I think that's a massive advantage. Because when he kicks and when he punches and he turns the fight into a wrestling match, if you want to turn it into a wrestling match against him, he's going to win that 9 times out of 10, even against someone like Bubba Jenkins. And not even necessarily, well, against someone else he might win it 9 times out of 10. Against Bubba Jenkins, it might be either 1 or even 9 times out of 10. And that's very tough when you're Bubba Jenkins, when you're a wrestle-heavy guy. So if you're slightly better in that area, you're very willing to throw your strikes, and you're slightly better in that area, what area is Bubba Jenkins going to win the fight in? Now, maybe Bubba has changed something since the last time they fought. Maybe he looked better actually last season, but fell short again in the end. And I just wonder, is there kind of a change there? I think a lot of this will come down to that mentality. Who has the better mentality at this stage of their career and this stage of their tenure in PFL? But based on the last fight, I have to go with Chris Wade. So the bet is Chris Wade here. I just think he's a better, slightly better all-around fighter, and that's my bet for him to take this one. Right, the next bet is, this was my flyer, I mentioned it earlier on, and it's gone from a flyer to a normal bet, so it's like half a flyer. Will Fleury, I'm still going for him. I'm still going for Will Fleury to win this fight, and I'm betting on the price. I just think it's such a good price. He was plus 375 when this opened, and let me just look at the odds again, and let's see where they've gone to and where they've kind of bounced back from. So Will Fleury opened at plus 375, moved into plus 350 last night, then moved into plus 313, 307, plus 290, plus 263, and where he is today, around, you can get him one place plus 290, you can get him around plus 250. That's around the price he is right now, around plus 250. So I'm going for him still at that price. I wonder which way it'll go. Will it get closer? Will it get further? I thought that was a ludicrous price. I thought it was a ludicrous price at plus 375, and I still like it at plus 250, to be honest. Now, there's a reason for this. Now, call me biased if you want to. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. But I've seen Will Fleury fighting for a long time, and I've known what type of fighter he is. And I think what type of fighter Will Fleury is a big, tough bastard. And you won't mind me saying that, because that's what he calls himself. You won't mind me saying that at all. That's what he is. But he's also become a way better all-around fighter in the last few years. If you want to go back, I think it's on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. I watched it actually a few weeks ago, wherever I saw it, the Tarek Sullivan fight. And his hands look so good in that fight. Just so good. He went full 5 rounds in that. He looked awesome in that fight. He looked really, really, really good. And I think that was a kind of a game changer for Will Fleury, because he was, prior to that, a guy who could hit you, could hit hard, but he had issues on the feet, got beaten by Norbert Navinyi Jr., who's one of the top prospects in the world. No shame in that, but he could be got to in that area. But where he was really good is being strong, pushing you against the cage, pulling you down to the ground, landing on top. I think his striking, having improved, has actually helped all parts of his games. I think he's become better at cardio. I think he is using the wrestling better. I think he's using the clinch better, and just a better all-around fighter because he has improved this one area, and it helps the rest. Similar to what I was saying with Chris Wade earlier on, he can be a little bit more confident in all areas. And I just think he is on the verge of breaking into this sort of fighters, whether it's the Wilkinsons, the Santoses, the Jotkos. If he gets 3 of them this year, I think he'll beat 1, 2 or 3 of them. I really do. I think he's on that level. Now, will he win this fight? I think it's a 50-50. I think it's a toss-up. And the reason I think it's a toss-up is because I think Krzysztof Jotko is like a similar version of Will Fleury. It's funny, Will's actually older than Krzysztof Jotko, but Jotko's been around for a long, long, long time. Or Jotko, as my friend Sean Denny told me not to pronounce his name wrong, and I've done it about 7 times. But I think Will's, and I'm interested to see it, right? Because I wonder, has that rise been enough yet? Because Will was supposed to be in, or there was talks of him anyway being in the European series for PFL. He got moved over kind of last minute to be in the World Series, and now he's here. Like, did he need that extra year? Did he need another year to prepare to rise to that level? Personally, I think it would have helped, but I don't think he needs it, if you want to put it that way. And I think this is going to be a damn battle. Like I said earlier on, I don't think the McCourt Zingano fight will go to decision. I could definitely see this fight going to decision. I think it's going to be helter-skelter. I don't think it'll be a fight of the year contender. I don't think it'll be Rock'em Sock'em Robots type of fighter, but I do think it'll be one guy pushing the other guy to the cage, pulling him down, exhausting him, sweating all over him, making the dirty, rotten, grimy fight. That's the sort of fight I see in this. That is the sort of fight I see. And you know what? I've never seen Will Fleury bet in one of those fights. I've seen him beaten maybe technically and possibly tactically, but never in one of those fights. And, you know, Jotko isn't often beaten in one of those fights either. So I think it's a very interesting fight. The price around plus 250, I think around plus 200 would be right based on the levels they've both fought at. And I think I think the price now is more respectful to Will Fleury than the initial price was. But if you're a better, you know, if it goes out another bit, I'd definitely be taking that. But yeah, I'm going for Will Fleury at plus 250 on that one. Right, that's it for the top 4 bets. The flyer of the week, I couldn't believe this price, and you know, on 2 different places it's the same price, so I'm giving it to you. The flyer of the week is Daniel James in the Bellator main event to win by TKO KO in round 1 at plus 275. Now, you don't need much analysis from me in this one, lads. Daniel James is just a big fucker who goes out there and he throws fucking toasters. He just boom, boom, boom. And he kind of, but he does it, you know, he's a bit like Derek Lewis. He just kind of waits, or the old Derek Lewis, before Derek Lewis tried to become a good fighter, and he did, and it worked against him. Anyway, he just kind of waits, and he boom. Someone comes in at him, runs at him, boom. Now, the issue here is, right, he wins a lot of his fights maybe the start of the second round, so that's the big issue I have here. I don't like giving second round bets. I don't know why. I'm not the biggest fan of. I feel like it's a guessing game when you give second round bets. But to give a first round bet at heavyweight, I like it. Now, the reason I'm giving this, right, is I think Golm is a good fighter. I think he's probably a better fighter, right? But I do think he moves around an awful lot and will put himself in a position maybe that if James zigs when he zags and goes the right way, I think James could absolutely connect with him. Like, I think Golm will probably connect with James as well, which could be the worst thing that happens. Like, you probably want to stay away from James for maybe the first 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of it. Just kind of pick him off a little bit. But I have a feeling like I haven't watched Golm. I haven't watched the way he tries to kick legs. I think if he does that a couple too many times to James, he'll rush at him and throw one of those uppercuts or just kind of push him against the cage, elbow him there, like pull him to the ground. He's very good when he gets on top as well. Like what I'm banking on here is in the 300 seconds, is that correct, of the first round, I'm banking on James winning like 4 of them. That's what I'm banking on here. Does he have enough in him to win 4 of those 300 seconds? Because if he does, this plus 675 is looking very, very, very good. I know my guy Danny Brenner loves a bit of Daniel James. So if he can do this, I love that price. So that's the flyer for the week. Daniel James, the heavyweight, in the main event to get the job done in the first round via knockout at plus 675. All right, everyone, we will quickly run through the rest of the prices, anything that sticks out there. I've talked about, obviously, a lot of the prices over in the PFL preview, but just to mention them again, Loughnane and Maurice. Loughnane, big favourite there, minus 700 at the time of recording here. Talked about Wilkinson and Santos. Kayabulov and Kuda. My guy, everyone knows I love Ryuji Kuda. He is plus 480, minus 655 for Kayabulov. You know, Mavlid is going to be the favourite in that one, but I have a soft spot for Kuda. Let's see. The Jenkins Wade fight, we obviously spoke about that, as well as Jotko Fleury. Jotko is minus 325. Interesting fight as well between Martin Hamlet and Mohamed Fakrdine. I'd probably give you Fakrdine here, lads, a plus 115, minus 145 for Hamlet. I know he's wrestling, and he'll probably win it with wrestling if he does win it, but Fakrdine is very good and can hit. Sam K as well as a big underdog. I predicted on the PFL preview that one of these big underdogs is going to win. Will it be K? Will it be Fleury? Will it be Kuda? I don't know. And maybe you even take Fleury out of that because he's not as big an underdog as he wants us. But I really think one of them is going to win. I love that Silveira K fight. I think it's a very interesting test for Silveira. K can hit very hard. And I think if K loses this, I think him versus the loser of Santos Wilkinson would be a great fight. I'd love to see that, and maybe Silveira even fighting the winner, but we'll see on that one. Daniel Torres, the former KSW champ, is coming in here as well. He beat Saladin Padanas, fought him twice. He's a big favourite here over Torres, and there's some other fights as well. Pinedo is the underdog against Binjo. Corey Hendricks and Impa Kasanganai are fighting as well. Impa Kasanganai is the favourite at minus 115, and in the tournament as well at Live at Delamonte is the favourite just around minus 200 over Tyler Flores. We have the card then from Bellator. In the main event, I gave you obviously the first round knockout price, but the price straight up is plus 130 for James over Golm. An interesting price. I think James should be the favourite, honestly. I think that's the wrong way around. He was one of my bets, but I had to change things up because of all the prices changing. He originally was one of my bets plus 130. I do like that bet. Zingano McCourt. Zingano is minus 425. McCourt is plus 325. I think McCourt should maybe be plus 250, 275. I think that's a little bit wide, to be honest. Obviously, Zingano has the right to be favoured, but where is Zingano in her career? 41 years of age. Can she be the same with all these injuries? Can she strike? Because if she can strike on the feet for 15 minutes, going to the ground, McCourt, as I said earlier on, is a tough task. So I'm interested to see that fight. Another bit I was looking at, John Salter. I think this price is very big, and this price has come out. I think he was plus, let me just check this here, but he was plus 200 opening up on the 27th, and as I look at it here, he's plus 300 as John Salter over Aaron Jeffrey, who is minus 400. Honestly, Salter's a good wrestler, and when someone wrestles as well as he does against a guy like Aaron Jeffrey, who's a very good wrestler, but you know, he likes to strike more these days, I don't think that's a bad price. But Salter, is he kind of past his best? Probably is, but plus 300, I don't think that's a bad price whatsoever. Willis and Habilov, I think this as well is a good price, plus 115. And Habilov, like Willis is, like Habilov in his prime, I think beats Willis, 19 times out of 20. But is he in his prime anymore? He's 4 years off. I think I'd still go for him. Habilov at minus 115 there. We talked about it in the preview for Bellator. He wins a lot of his fights by decision. Habilov to win by decision is plus 185. I probably wouldn't go for that because he's so close to winning straight up. One of the best fights of the weekend, Luke Traynor against Sullivan Cawley. This price, Luke Traynor is getting smaller. He's plus 180 now to minus 220. I'll probably still go for Cawley there, but I think a lot of people are betting on Traynor at that price. Interesting. Pam Sarning and Sarah Collins. Sarah Collins has only had a few fights. I think 3-4 fights in her career. She's plus 160. Sorensen surely has enough to win that fight. I see her here at one place. She's minus 180. I haven't seen much of Collins, to be honest. I looked and I couldn't really find much of her. So maybe she is a phenom that I don't know about. And that is very well possible. But we'll see on that one. Piccolotti and Rat Garbage are not too far away from each other. No, Rat Garbage is the favourite. I think that has changed if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he opened at plus 120. He's now minus 140. So that has flip-flopped in a few days. I'm telling you, these bets have moved all over the place. Joey Davis is a big favourite. Archie Colgan is a favourite. A big favourite as well is Lucas Brennan. Surprised a little bit to see that Lance Gibson Jr. is the underdog against Vladimir Tokov. I like that price on him. That was another bet I had picked out. I had to change things up. Plus 180. I like that. I like that price an awful lot. Another big one, plus 370, Raheem Cleveland. I feel like Raheem Cleveland, like Christian Edwards is a good fighter, but like I think Raheem Cleveland is one of these guys, doesn't have the great record, lost a lot of fights recently, but this guy can fight. And I think he'll win one of these fights at some stage. I'm going for him there, plus 370. I like that. Great price. Nick Brown is the underdog against Mike Hamill. I think that's right, but I'm a little bit surprised by it, to be honest. I would probably avoid that betting. Randy Field is the underdog against Ashley Cummins. She is plus 140, minus 170 for Cummins. We have Bryce Meredith, Brendan Carrillo Meredith, a massive favourite there, minus 1,200. And then Maria Henderson for her next tilt at Bellator. She is minus 175, obviously the wife of the former UFC lightweight champion Vincent Henderson, who has recently retired, to give her the chance to take her career to the next level, which is very admirable of him and the family. So that is it. Those are my 5 bets for the week. Let me know in the comment section below what your bet is. Give me your 1 bet for the week, and I will be in the comment section having a look at them and a few replies. Just quickly to recap, bets of the week. Number 1, Zingano and McCourt doesn't go to decision, plus 250. Thiago Santos to win, money line, plus 155. Chris Wade to win straight up, minus 175. Will Fleury as well, money line to win straight up, plus 250. And the flyer of the week, Daniel James, Bellator main event, to win by TKO KO in round 1 at plus 675. All right, everyone, I will leave it there. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all